All right. Thank you for tuning in, part two. And we are talking about the black migration. We're talking about a little bit of the Indians, how they appreciated the land, and how they used the land and the animals for good. I mean, when you are living in places like Missouri, I mean, in places where it get really cold, you have to do something to keep yourself warm. And of course, eat. So when they use the bison for food, for hides, for jewelry, everything, and they didn't they didn't deplete the bison, and they didn't use them for domestic. They followed the bisons. They did not keep them locked up in a gated place. They roamed, and wherever the bisons went, they went. And now what the Indians did, they used the land without using it up by not trying to domesticate the bison to settle into one place as home. Until the white man brought horses and firearms to America, the Indians followed the herds. And what happened is history. They're now living on reservations. And all the other stuff in between that, the terrible wars. Now, what happened is where we at now. That's why we are where we are now. The bisons are gone, the prairie dogs are gone, and the land is upheaval. Water's polluted, the air is polluted. And what we need is more black scientists. Now, through history, okay, we don't have to be slaves anymore. We can get paid for our services. Now, we went through Jim Crow. Now we live it in Jane Crow. And what's happened is, like I said earlier, we are being blinded to help in our own destruction. And the only way we're going to be able to get out of that is by leaving that entertainment mess alone and start becoming more black scientists, archaeologists, etymologists, doctors, nurses, and agents. We need our own secret agent service that works in secret. And stop letting these laws and lobbyists and taxes strip us of our humane rights. They do. You hear about it all the time, these black folks going to jail for tax evasion. Come on, seriously? You could not pay your tax. Now you have to go to jail. Now you're a ward of the state. Once you're a ward of the state, you will ever be ward of the state. And I need to say that there are a few great watchers, like War on the Horizon, and we have Jeremiah Kamara. Oh God, I hope we have a lot of them, and we have a lot, but they're online. You have to have a computer. So we need more ground workers. We need to get out there and get into the community. Because as long as I've been on this planet, I have never had no black person come to my house advocating for change or starting a block club or anything to benefit us black people as a community. Or even volunteering or even asking for contributions for some black cause. Never. I mean, maybe they came and I went home. I don't know. And we need our own newspaper. Why we don't have a black newspaper? We have one. I think it's still around. The Reporter. I know they had one in Ohio. And I think they have some in Atlanta and places like that. But we need one in every city. Every state needs a black newspaper that black people are getting. I used to get this black newspaper called The Reporter, and it had good information in it, but we need one that's more in depth on the seriousness of what's going on in this world. And also we need a TV station. Why we don't have a TV station? All these black millionaires and billionaires, we don't own a TV station with a news for black folks. They got news for Chinese, news for Arabs, but no news for black folks. They always try to say, well, black folks can listen to white folks. They is not going to program it where we will listen and hear about what's going on in the black community, good and bad. Radio stations they have out today is a joke to me. And also, we need more community gardens and a safe house. We should never have to feel that there's nobody there to help us, and the ones who want to help can't. And the elders of our community, why are they not out being a big part of bringing history and education to us and helping us to appreciate the aesthetic we may live so that we may live more happily and healthier? We need to get more of the beauty of this world that we're living in. We should be able to teach our kids how to appreciate and take care of our world. And I like to say that there is so many blacks becoming famous in death, and most are tragically. Now, more of our young ones are being murdered by ones not much older than them. It's just like Emmett Till. We've heard about him, 1941 to 1955. It was an infamous murder where even after finding the men who murdered him, still was found not guilty. Even with the outrage in the open casket, things still is no better in 2013. Still a practice that we are not taking control. We need more black judges, black police officers, lawyers, more black watchmen, and more guns. And a conscience of awareness. We need to teach our kids who their opponent and adversary is. And we need to make sure that they know the importance of staying away from drugs. And ignorant people. You have a lot of black folks out here that are just ignorant, don't want to do better. And you got hate. Black people hating on each other. Stay away from them. They're your adversary too. Know who your adversary is. Because it's a shame that you cannot live in this world and have something. Get married. Well, you know I'm against marriage, but get into a contract. Build up your life. Build it up. And have some more beautiful children that can grow up and do something with their lives and be a leader. Because there's a lot of changes that have to take place over forever. It's going to take forever. But you have to do it one day at a time. Now, when I say marriage, I'm totally against marriage, but I believe in a corporation between two people where they can build on having the things that they want in life. You want a nice home, you want a nice car, and you want to be able to live in a nice neighborhood. You don't want to have to worry about your child being shot in their bed. And I just want to say that it just hurts me so bad to hear about so many of our black children being shot in their bed, sitting in their father's lap. And this recently one walking down the street, the babysitter's walking down the street with their 1 year old child in her arms, and they start shooting. Now remember, the opponent and the adversary. And they most get our kids are in the school system. The school system has to be changed. Okay, I got a few more minutes, so I want to talk about on this day, September the 2nd. On this day, first ATM opens up for business. 1789, Congress founds the U.S. Treasury. 1998, the UN Court hands down the first international conviction for genocide. 1996, Michael Jackson earns his 12th and final solo #1, You Are Not Alone. 1885, whites massacre Chinese in Wyoming Territory. 1885. Now, since it was hard for me to find this day in Black history, these are a few I've found. 1773, Phyllis Wheatley's book, Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral, is published, making her the first African American to do so. 1746, Lucy Terry, an enslaved person in 1746, becomes the earliest Black American poet when she writes about the last American Indian attack on her village of Deerfield, Massachusetts. Her poem, Bar's Fight, isn't published until 1855. 1619, the first African person arrived in Virginia to become a slave. 1808, Congress bans the importation of people as potential slaves from Africa. 1820, the Missouri Compromise bans slavery north of the southern boundary of Missouri. 1846, Frederick Douglass launches his abolitionist newspaper. 1849, Harriet Tubman escapes from slavery and becomes one of the most effective and celebrated leaders of the Underground Railroad. Now, that's just a few of the important events in our history. Whether it's Black, American, Indian, Chinese, or whatever, history is history. It's all bound together. But we can learn from each other's history. And we can also help us to embrace our history. Because you cannot get away from who you are. Because we are our parents' parents, and they are their parents' parents, and so forth and forth. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Because can't nobody take that away from you. And I want to thank you all for listening. And I want you all to have a wonderful day. Be kind and be sweet. And keep the peace between your head. Thank you.